Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Emotionally Intelligent Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Pinto, and I love all things emotional intelligence, especially for parents and teachers, educators, therapists, anyone who lives or works with tiny humans. You need to know about emotional intelligence. So thank you for being here if you're one of those people. Today, I want to tell you about an 11-year-old who got suspended from school for bullying and a parent who was left in shock. So this was a post that came through on my Facebook community called Let's Raise Emotionally Intelligent Kids. By the way, if you're not in there, jump in, join. It's obviously free. It's on Facebook. And there's about, I think, almost 150,000 parents in there and now supporting one another and posting and getting support and tips and ideas and things like that. So this mum posted in there, in part of the post, I'll read the full thing out. It's not that long. She said, besides taking away electronics, what else can I do? And I was like, like when I saw that come through, my heart kind of skipped a beat and I was like, okay, we've got to reply to this one. I did respond to it, as did a bunch of other parents. And some of the comments, I will be honest, they stopped me in my tracks. And I mean, we monitor and moderate the Facebook group pretty closely, but when you have that number of people in a community, like it's hard, and some things slip through the cracks, and it does take time, just time and effort. We don't get paid, obviously to support the people in the group and to hold that community. But yeah, whew. So yes, some of the comments were really deeply compassionate, really thoughtful, and really emotionally intelligent. I loved that. Parents were sharing lived experience. They were sharing obviously their own insights and ideas that actually might help provide some change and some reassurance to the parent. So obviously there was some great comments in there, but like I said, with that number of people, there's always going to be comments and suggestions and even just people who, and like personalities who slip through the cracks, who probably shouldn't be there because they're not aligned with emotional intelligence and conscious parenting. And so, it was interesting to say the least. I don't know if some of you might have even seen this comment that I'm talking about. So some of the comments that kind of, we had to really carefully read and decide whether we remove or leave them. Punishments, public shaming, fear-based consequences, a real focus on control rather than connection. Whew. So today's episode is talking about that post, the question, and what it reveals around how we still really misunderstand behaviour, especially when our child is the one who's causing harm. So I talked about things like why punishment feels like the obvious answer, but then very often, if not always, it misses the mark. What bullying behaviour is really telling us about our child, how shame-based consequences can absolutely backfire. The difference between accountability and punishment, because that is huge. Yes, we need to have accountability and teach our kids responsibility for their actions, but oh my God, no, we don't need to punish them. And then what emotionally intelligent parents focus on instead of consequences and punishment, and how to support a child who has caused harm or hurt someone else without excusing the behavior. Because I think, when a child bullies or hurts another, the goal is never to make them feel worse. It's really to help them do better, but also for us to understand, where is that coming from? Why is my child acting in that way and saying and doing those things? So yeah, there's a lot in there. We're going to talk about what actually helps, and maybe what quietly kind of makes things worse. So get ready. This is going to be a really, really great conversation. And I think you're going to take away a lot, even if your child has not done or said this thing, or hasn't bullied or hurt another. I mean, my kids all the time, like just this morning, they were tumbling on the couch and one of them kicked the other in the face. We had to deal with that. So, I think you'll still get a lot out of this episode. It's going to be really good. Before we go any further, I want to quickly acknowledge the Darug Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work, and record these videos and this podcast. I want to pay my respects to all First Nations people, their elders, and their ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Okay, just before I tell you about the post, I didn't introduce myself, and I don't often in these episodes. I just jump straight in. But if you're new here, welcome. I'm Stephanie Pinto, and I'm obviously the host of the podcast. I'm also an emotional intelligence coach and consultant. I'm a best-selling author and an international speaker, and all around a huge champion for emotional intelligence. Okay, here is the post. It is short and sweet, but as you'll see, very power-packed. The mum writes, "My 11-year-old son got suspended from school for bullying another child. I am in shock. Besides taking away electronics, what else can I do? So I jumped in, as I mentioned, and put a comment myself as the founder of the group and an emotional intelligence parent coach. So I wanted to offer her some support, and then I'm going to read out some of the other comments too and kind of discuss those to give you my perspective and my understanding. But you can make up your own mind and think, if that was your child, what would you do? And I wonder if after listening to this episode, you might do things a little bit differently, which would be pretty amazing, you know? I love to think that this podcast creates some change and some time to reflect on our own parenting and how we respond to our child and relate to them. So yeah, these tough moments are where the kind of the rubber hits the road, so they say. Okay, so here's my comment. Firstly, I'm sending you so much compassion. It is really confronting to hear that your kid has been suspended for bullying, and honestly, feeling shocked is really, really normal. Taking away electronics or using punishments won't actually solve the problem. Those approaches only try to stop the behavior on the surface. They don't help you or your son understand why he acted in a hurtful way, and they often increase shame, which makes the behavior worse over time. I had to word that really carefully because I'm always trying to be supportive, but also almost like coach a little bit, you know, and pull people up where they're missing what is really going on. Okay, then I went on to say, kids behave this way often when they're overwhelmed or they're embarrassed. Maybe they're angry, they're trying to fit in, or they're lacking the emotional skills that they need in that moment. Children who use aggressive or hurtful behavior need more support and guidance, not punishment. Then I wrote a few things that will really help. Number one is get curious about what was going on for him. Was he upset? Being teased? Is he trying to impress someone? Is he feeling out of control? Sometimes I also, this is just me talking off the cuff now. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list, by the way, but sometimes I also think I did say what is going on for the child, but are they feeling like school is hard or their friendships are fractured? You know, something is going on, because when kids feel joyful and self-assured and confident in themselves, they don't fall into that bullying or teasing kind of trap. Like, my kids are, you know, generally they have good self-confidence on the whole. They'll still do little bits of very natural, normal I don't want to say friendly, but like sibling-based teasing and stuff. So this is not what I'm talking about here. She mentioned bullying, that he got suspended. So, okay. So next point is let him know. This is a big one, guys. Sorry, I interrupted myself. Let him know you're on his team and that you are here to help him get through this and learn from this. That's, I don't know if that's like the biggest one. When kids are suspended or even, you know, pulled up for this kind of behavior, any kind of behavior, they're automatically feeling guilt and shame or some level of that, and probably anger at the situation or the teacher or the principal or whatever. They do need to know, despite what they did, that you're on their team and you're going to help them out of this. Okay. Third point I wrote down was, probably no surprises, teach him the emotional and social skills he was missing, like managing anger, walking away, asking for help, or maybe noticing early warning signs. The early warning signs I'm talking about, I think I've done episodes on this actually around interoception, the idea that we have these early warning signs when we're getting overwhelmed or stressed. You know, our child's beginning to be dysregulated. They're irritable, cranky, agitated, sometimes feeling like this is really hard. I feel dumb in the classroom. So things like that. So noticing early warning signs can be really, really powerful. And then the last point I wrote was guide him to repair the harm. A genuine apology maybe, a note maybe, or a conversation about things, making things right can really build responsibility and empathy far better than punishment ever will. And then I finished it off by saying this can absolutely become a meaningful learning moment for him. And you're not alone. I'm here if you want to help, you know, navigate those next steps. You can let me know and send me a message. Because obviously I do parent coaching sessions, and for parents who are like either shocked, like this parent was, or not shocked, but like, okay, this needs to stop. We need to really overcome this. I don't want things to go on this way. I'm like, hey, there are people like me here. Like, my hand is up. You know, this is what I do. It's my life. It's my job. Reach out to me. And because I copied and pasted all this and I like screenshot it, that had about 254 likes at that time when I grabbed it. So that made sense to a lot of people. Obviously not everyone, which I'm going to now read out some of the other comments. So yeah, that's not an exhaustive response. We get so many posts being submitted in the Facebook group, as you can imagine, with that amount of people. And so we cannot and do not approve them all. We have to be really careful. Sometimes we get messages from people. They're like, hey, my post hasn't been approved for days, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. We have to balance, like my team and I will often be like, we have to balance it out. We can't flood the group with posts because then people don't get any comments and support on their posts. So anyway, it's a whole meta thing. So let me read out a few of the other comments. One of them, I like this one. Have him volunteer to help others work on developing empathy and compassion towards others. So she's talking about having him volunteer and, things like that. I think that's just generally great, but I don't know if I would dive in to be like, right, I'm signing you up for volunteering. I obviously have a conversation first and a few conversations. She said, it really depends on how he bullied the other child. Why did he target that particular kid? Bullying is on purpose to a particular kid again and again, typically. So yeah, I agree generally with that. Why did he target this particular kid? Bullying to be suspended for something, in my understanding, it wouldn't be a one-off. They've done something really hurtful or dangerous. That might be like a call to the parents and bring them in for a conversation or something. I don't know, unless it was just really severe and they made a big snap decision. But yeah, I think the suspension makes me think, okay, this has been something ongoing. And yet the parent said, I'm in shock. So here we go. So another couple of comments were, go for a drive with him or walk the dog together. Boys talk and open up when they're moving. I agree with that. Boys and sometimes girls can open up when they're not just like, you don't want to be face to face over a table with a lamp shining on there. We have ways of making you talk. You don't want to do that because they're going to clam up. Like I mentioned before, he's probably got some element of guilt or shame and those kind of yucky feelings that make kids and adults close up and shut down. Someone said work on their self-esteem. Not a bad point. Listen and show compassion and seek to understand who he is, what he needs, and what led to this. Reassure him that he's a good kid who made a bad choice and that he can align with his good kid self. How amazing is that one? I love that. So compassionate, so much curiosity in there and coming from a place of, help me understand what's going on. I want to help you. I want to support you. We can get through this together. I think that is when a kid has someone on their side, when they mess up really big, that is huge. I think sometimes that's actually really rare in families or in cultures or in it's most of the time we go straight to how dare you? I'm going to take something off you. Like this parent said, what else can I remove apart from electronics? I'm like, what? No. Okay. So I wonder this one, I wonder what you think about this next comment. I'm just going to read it out. Drive him to the bullied child's house and ask him to apologize face to face and explain how he can do it better next time. I don't know if I would drive him to the bullied. I don't know if he would know the address. There's a lot going on in there, but the idea is that we are kind of almost like shoving our child at the situation, going fix it, make it right, apologize, and then we'll be done. It'll be fixed. I'm like, it's probably a lot more layered and deeper than that. So I'm not sure if I really love that comment. Okay, next one is choose connection over correction. Yay! If you guys can see, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not listening to the podcast, you're watching, you can see my face. You can probably hear it. I was like, woo, hands up. Be his safe space. Love that. Find out the why behind the behavior. Let him feel safe with you to explore whatever led to the bullying and teach him compassion by showing compassion. Yes. Come in. What's up? Be quick, I'm recording.
Can we have a sleepover tonight?
I'll think about it after I think.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh gosh. I was wondering if we would have a tiny kid interruption. We have some friends over, kids friends over, so there we go. I'm going to have to organize a sleepover, it looks like. All right. Here is one that kind of pulled my heartstrings, and I think you'll find some insights from it too. But I wish, this is a one-way podcast, but I wish I could be like, what do you think? Tell me your thoughts on this one. Okay. When my son was about 7, just before I pulled him out of school permanently, he was really struggling with himself. School had properly broken my boy who'd previously loved learning and had lots of friends, and he was happy. As he deteriorated, he started to be a shadow of himself. I switched schools, and the head of the next school really understood him and his struggles. He was brilliant, so my son started getting better. Slowly, but progress was happening. It was then, and on a particularly good day too, that he started bullying his best friend. He was super mean to him, and I was absolutely gutted as this was new to us, and we're a kind and usually highly communicative family, so it didn't make sense. But the head explained it perfectly to me and said it's actually progress. What was happening was that my son was starting to feel better about himself, but because he was so used to feeling bad about himself and not liking himself, the progress was unfamiliar and his brain and body couldn't regulate that. So basically, I'm not used to liking myself, so I won't let my new friends like me either. So punishment wouldn't have helped. She's got that right. We got him and his friend talking, and he apologized straight away anyway, and his friend was fine about it, but it wasn't long afterwards I deregistered him, as I could see the school system just wasn't ever going to fit his needs. Have a chat with your son about what's good about himself. Get him to answer that and talk a lot as a family about your good traits and that he's not done in society, and the not so good traits too, but see them as a conversation pieces, not discipline moments of things to change, as this can create shame. And if he's bullying, he's probably already feeling shame, bless him. So yeah, my heart kind of felt a lot in that story, I think, for the parent who was commenting. And she's got some great suggestions about having a talk to him, being on his side, getting him to answer, like, what are you good about? What's good about you? What do you love? And what are you proud of? And things like that, because we don't want kids to fall into that shame spiral and things go from bad to worse. Okay, this next one is he needs love, not punishment, one-on-one time and attention from his parents or caregivers. He's already received the consequences by being suspended. Try to model grace and mercy so he can extend this to others. I love that. Be his best role model and talk to him about what's going on with him when he's ready to open up, maybe while fishing or doing something relaxing. They're good ideas. Tell him he's a good boy who needs some extra help. My son, currently with ODD, that's oppositional defiance disorder, was quite shocked when his brother told him he's a good boy. Speak life over him and he may just begin to rise to your words. So some of these comments you can see, I like there's compassion, there's real thought put into them. Amazing. Okay, this next one, I'm going to give a little bit of a trigger warning. So if there are tiny ears in the car or at home where you're listening, wherever you are, then maybe just pause this for the next minute or skip past. Okay, this comment is teach him. So I think that just means teach him about bullying and the impact. That's what I'm guessing. No use in taking stuff away if you're not going to explain and teach him the severity of what he's done. I agree with that so far. Here's where the trigger warning comes in. Personally, I'd be bringing up news articles of children who have committed suicide and making them read them all with me and then asking questions about what he's learned from it. And I would also take him directly to that child's house with a letter of apology that he's written to the child and their parents, because he needs to understand the impact spreads way beyond words and way beyond that one person, and also apologize face to face. So, okay. Again, I would not, I'm trying to really understand. I could be reading into it. I wonder what you guys think, but to me, it sounds like this parent has some kind of lived experience with a situation very close to this and has possibly in their own family or someone they know experienced that worst possible outcome. So I'm really this is the thing with emotional intelligence. We see these comments, and I've talked before on the podcast and online about I get some horrific comments of people thinking, you're raising snowflakes, and worse, disgusting comments, worse than that. And the emotional intelligence piece helps me when I receive those comments or when I read this type of comment that makes me have this immediate heart stopping, whoa, are you crazy, like that? It helps me to go, hang on. The pause. I talk about pressing pause, right? finding the pause and going, let me be curious about this because I'm having a huge reaction. Like, I'm activated. This has triggered me in a way, you know, and it helps me and you if you're reading stuff online or if that doesn't align with your values or agree with your beliefs, or it could be anything political, I don't know. But something happens in your life, in your day, and then emotional intelligence allows you to go, whoa, that is huge. What is going on? Like, what is going on for that person to have written that or to have said that to me? Because I'm really upset about it, or I'm feeling like I need to absolutely go in there and like keyboard warrior back myself. So it allows us that ability to reflect. It allows us to go to have that self-awareness to go, whew, this is a hot button for me. Where is that coming from? And can I understand somehow or be curious about why that person has said or done that thing, rather than just me having this tunnel vision and thinking, well, that person is loopy. And it's just being curious, empathetic, a little bit empathetic and compassionate, because we like with this comment, like we have no idea what people are going through or have gone through, and we are experts in judging and jumping to conclusions. So that's all I'm going to say about that comment. There's a couple more comments. I think one of them is, it's time for lessons in empathy, not punishments that are unrelated to the underlying issue. Brilliant. Connect with him, open, safe communication, figure out what's going on inside of him. Love it. Maybe the last comment that I'm going to read out that also made me kind of cringe, with love and compassion, but I was like, oh, I wouldn't do this. My son got in trouble for the same. He's 8. I made him run laps and I made him write, I will not be a bully 10 times. I also talked to him about bullying because he's been bullied before. I told him he knows how it feels I know how it feels, so don't do it to others. No issues since. Again, I know 1% of that, of this family's experience and this parent who wrote the comment. I would not be getting your child to run laps or obviously writing a bully 10 times. That's pointless. It's trying to drill in a message that kids know. If you ask any child when they are feeling regulated, connected, seen, heard, loved, when they're in a good space, if you ask any child, is it okay to bully? Is bullying okay? Is teasing okay? Is it okay to call someone a butthead? Is it okay to tip someone's pencil case out? Like, if you ask any kid pretty much any of those questions on any normal day, they'll say no, definitely not. So we don't have to like drill in the message anymore, because kids very early on learn morality and what's right and what's wrong. This is why we have to look deeper. We don't just force apologies. We don't just take things away from them. We have to understand what is going on and let me help you. Like, let's work this out together. Okay. Oh, okay. Very, very last one. I said that was the last one. This is the last one because I remember reading it through and I was like, so close. So close. The first 2 points are great. And then the last one, I was like, oh, damn it. So I'll read it out and you'll see why it was so close. It says, we wrote an apology letter, several drafts until we were sure he was genuine in his apology. So obviously you can tell from the get-go, this parent has experienced this bullying type of behavior with their child. Second point, she or he said, we researched and learned about the disability that the child has and about bullying, why people do it and what it does to people who are bullied. I like the researching and learning about the disability. Obviously, it sounds to me, I'm gleaning that the child who was bullied had some kind of disability. And so teaching, like educating a child about that, huge. I think that's really, I think that can be really, really powerful. And then this last little point that made me go, oh, like so close, was just extra household chores. So I read that and I was like, damn it, like so close. Extra household chores is a punishment. It's completely unrelated to the transgression or the bullying, the mistake, whatever happened. It doesn't teach them anything about bullying. It's basically like, you've done this bad or wrong thing. I'm going to make you suffer for it. I'm going to make you feel really bad. And I'm going to hope that teaches you and stays in your mind so that next time you don't do that bad thing. I'm like, that's not what's happening. Yeah, just get rid of that. And then the other 2 points were, quite helpful. Okay, so if this conversation stirred up something in you, then please remember these 2 things. When our kids mess up, especially in big and confronting ways, it does not mean we have failed as parents. Second thing is, It's an invitation to do something far more powerful, which is teach responsibility, teach empathy, and create real change. We know that punishment teaches fear. Responsibility teaches change. This is kind of how I think of it. Shame sticks in the memory, but change actually sticks in the heart. This is where we want our kids to be. And remember, every behavior is communication. Bullying is a loud cry for help and for guidance. So before you just reach for those consequences, please ask, what is this behavior really telling me? Connection first and consequences second. We want to be focusing on correcting the action, not just the child. And always modeling empathy. The way we respond and relate to our kids teaches them far more than any punishment ever will. If you want to go deeper and you love this kind of emotional intelligence stuff, my book walks parents through exactly how to respond without shame, how to turn big challenges into teachable moments, and how to raise emotionally intelligent kids who thrive. It's called From Chaos to Connection, and it is currently on Amazon. You can go and grab it, and it was a bestseller as soon as it came out, which just made me so proud, and I'm loving that parents are really enjoying it. Actually, PS, if you're listening to this in January, when the episode is fresh and it's just come out, you can get my book for free if you purchase the How to Raise Emotionally Intelligent Kids introductory course, which is on my website. It's an online course. It's a beautiful, first step, dip your toe in the water kind of thing course. It's currently 50% off. So 50% off the course, and you get a free copy of my book posted to you. So that is a really, really great deal. And if you're listening to this February or beyond and the offer has changed, just come back, have a look. The best thing is to be on my email list, because that's where parents just like you get offers and deals and freebies and sales and stuff like that. That's where all the good stuff is. So go and join my email list. If you don't know how, go onto my website, or maybe just send me a message on one of the socials. Okay, so thank you for listening. Thanks for reflecting. And most of all, I think for being willing to parent differently. This is not the quick, easy, simple way. This actually takes a lot of energy and love and self-discipline, but oh my goodness, the results are so worth it. So thank you. I will see you guys in the next episode.